Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kristján. I come from the Vesturland marketing office. I wasn't really sure what you wanted me to talk about, so I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, and hopefully I'll talk a little bit about what I was supposed to talk about. So let's see. So this is Vesturland, and so you can see very clear at the bottom, and my area is from the bottom of Kalkuru, and the whole place, this whole place. Snæfellsnes, Dalir area, and then the Borgarfjörður area. And in this DMP process, we are taking this area, Akranes and Kalkuru together. Borgarfjörður area, this whole area here, and then Snæfellsnes, and then Dalir. And the reason why we are doing that is because the areas are really, it really depends on what areas we are looking at, how far they are, and everything, like the service quality. Like in Kalkuru, we don't have a lot of service in Akranes. We don't have any hotel in Akranes. We have one hotel in Kalkuru. So, but at the same time, we have this area which has been growing really quickly. We have the Langtu Glacier, where we have the new ice tunnel into the glacier, and Snæfellsnes area has been doing good, but the Dalir area is similar to Kalkuru maybe. They're a little bit behind in service. So we can see it really good in my area how the service matters. We have a new hotel in Húsafell, and like I mentioned, the glacier, and now we have a cave here. After we got those infrastructures, then you can see that it really matters. We're getting more touristic visitors, so we need more investment in the area to be able to host more tourists. And this is what I was talking about. These are the areas we're working with, and these are the areas we have been working with in marketing also. No. My exit. One of the main problems we had when I was starting in the marketing office was that we didn't have a lot of activity in the area, but that has also been growing really quickly. And now we have two really great caves. I would say one of the best caves to visit in Iceland. This is the largest cave in Iceland. This one is located inside the national park. Like I mentioned, the glacier, a lot of horse rentals. We have two companies doing sea tours. This is sea tours from Stykkishólmur, and this is whale watching from Grundarfjörður. They are really different. We have more activity on the Snæfellsnes glacier, and we have many more activities. One really nice thing is the lighthouses in Akranes, where they decided to open up the lighthouse, and that became like an attraction in Akranes, so many visitors are coming there, and this is not the main location in Akranes to visit. And they decided this last fall, to open up an information center in the lighthouse. So then now they're able to run the information center and the lighthouse at the same time, so it's open all year now. We also have a lot of cultural life in Iceland, West Iceland, and that's what we are really proud of. We have a lot of history to tell, and what we see when we look through this is we have a lot of great characters in the area. We have Haraldur in Stykkishólmur with the Volcano Museum, Páll in Húsafell, Eiríksstaðir in Dalir, Reykholt. We have the Settlement Center in Borgarnes, Shark Museum, and we also have a lot of knitting. And this is one of our models, and we are promoting Knitting Circle, where we are getting people to come for a week in West Iceland to knit. And so then they're with a teacher and they travel through the area. So, and what we see when you look through those pictures is that they are really strong characters. We have there's always a face behind every museum, and and we got an idea to make like a campaign around this, and we decided to make a campaign called Visit the Locals, and And there we are helping people that are offering a personal visit. And we made a video about them. They didn't have to pay. We just decided which we wanted to use, and we decided to spread it over West Iceland so every part could take part. And I'm just gonna break it up and show you one guy here. Like you see, this guy is not going to change the whole tourism business in West Iceland. It's a small hostel he's running. But he actually changed the whole culture in his hometown. There was not a lot of, I don't know how to say it, but there was not much understanding on why tourism. We have fishing industry. Why do we need to have tourism? But when he came, he changed it a little bit. And people saw, it's actually fun to have something like this in our hometown. And I think he did a lot for the area. So in the big picture, we have got some awards for our work for the last years, and I would say a lot of that is to do with the investment we have had in the last years. We got the awards from Lonely Planet. I also want to have the CNN, which we got this year, one of the locations to visit for this year, but it ran away from me. But if you look at some numbers for my area, then I have these two reports. This is what we decided to make for West Iceland, so we could use in the GMP. In this report, we have the numbers for 2010 to 2015. Of course, they are old data, but there's something to work with, and then you can see how the different areas are. We have, like I mentioned earlier, we have these different locations, and we have different numbers for every location. Hope you understand where I'm going. Here we see numbers for, so the yellow line is West Iceland, and the blue line is Iceland in general. So you can see we're kind of following what's happening in Iceland. Not a lot of difference. For these years, this is, like I say, this is 2015. Here we can see numbers from one of our main locations. This is Vinnustofa. These are new numbers for 2016, and we see it's increasing quickly. So in 2015 we had 150,000, and 2016 we have 220,000. So the growth is quick in this area, especially in the winter months, I would say. And I'm going to come a little bit into that later. Here we see another location. This is Guðmundsson, out in this business inside the national park. So it's a different area. And there they only had numbers for 2015. That's 92,000. In 2016 they didn't have any numbers yet, but they will have it soon. But you can see that the growth is quick there also, especially in the winter. We have some good news. We are a little bit worried at times because we run an information center in Borgarnes, and we are in good contact with the tourists there. And my feeling was a little bit that many of the tourists would just come to West Iceland and exploring, and then going back to Reykjavik and staying there. So we were a little bit worried that they were not spending the night in West Iceland, which we really need. But the new numbers for January, then the growth in Iceland were 33%, but in West Iceland and Westfjords were 62%. So we are getting more and more nights. Of course, we hope our neighbors in Westfjords have some part in this, but we want to take more part in it. So we think we have more. And in the whole year, 2016, there was 34% growth in Iceland, but 42% in West Iceland and Westfjords. was counted together. So this is good news, and this is the feeling we really feel that there are more travelers in the area. But like I say, we're a little bit worried that they will not spending the night. So that's the challenge we have in the marketing office. And what we have been trying to do is when we meet tour operators, is to tell them not to spend the night in Reykjavik. Try to get them out to the area, to West Iceland, because it's not really difficult to get to West Iceland. And like we see, the Reykjavik is probably not going to keep up with the growth in tourism. And I think one of the ways are to try to get the first night out to the south or out to the west. And there's a good thing happening in the south. They're now using the fly bus going straight to the south. And we hope we will be the next if it goes well in the south. Back to the DMP. So this is the DMP for West Iceland. So this is how we see it. So these are the work groups in the area. The members here are not finalized, so we are still working on those. How many are going to be in the work group here? So you're going to have a group working for Agnes and Kalkur area, and then Borgarfjörður and Skorradal is we always call Borgarfjörður area, Snæfellsnes and Dalur. And then two from those areas are going to be inside the main group, the 10 men's team. I don't know the English word for slides. And then we're going to have a steering group, and then we're going to have a project manager, Margaret Björk, which is with us here today, and then me and Paul, which are working for Vesturland in general. We'll also be working inside here, and also down here if needed. Like if they need some information from us here, then we're going to be willing to. Okay. There's a lot of work that has been done in West Iceland, and we're of course going to use that really well. Here's an example of that. There's been done a lot of things in Snæfellsnes, which is I'm really grateful for. And Ragnhildur is with us here. She's going to talk more about it later today. We have a big project up in Borgarfjörður called Saga Geopark. They've made they do a lot of things, like the report I was talking about earlier. We're going to use that one to give us some pictures. And then we have some others. Of course, we have the national park at the end of the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. So there's a lot of work that has been done there, which we can use in our work. I hope I talked about what I was supposed to talk about. I was actually hoping I was not the first one, so excuse me.
Well done, because thank you very much for that. It's not what you're supposed to talk about. Exactly. I mean, I think the issue is we all want to learn from each other, and to hear your challenges, which I'm going to ask you about in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The first thing I was going to ask, the groups, the DMP setup. When did you establish that? You know,
This is something, like I said, we have been using these areas, like Agnes Kalkur, we have been using this in our marketing.
Yeah.
And this is what we came up with, and people liked it, so we started to run this way. And the main reason, like I said, is because these areas, it will not be good to run those two places together because the situation is really different in those two areas. Yeah. Well, that's the main reason.
That's right. And your areas are clearly defined now, and you know what you're going to go with.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And what's interesting is you actually have some good data also. Because the data is always difficult at below national level, even at national level.
Yes.
But thank you for that. Well, we've got about 5 minutes for questions and discussion.
Thank you. You said that good data, I kind of recall that you said this, they don't use any data. Earlier, you said that people are waiting, if you use people, and it's very important that you keep that. How about data about the potential of the local people? Is that something that you plan to take within your plan? And then my second question is, how about the data on the environmental costs of each visit? So you have caves there and some kind of a new hot thing here in Iceland. There's enormous environmental costs within the caves. And all that cost that Is that something that has been considered and taken, because it's very marketing tools?
I think it'll be a little bit more when you have, like, you're working with us and the groups, they're more with a different angle on it. It's a good question about the nature. They did some research on the main locations. I know Vinnustofa and I think Guðmundsson, the same places I had the numbers from, and it was in a big research over Iceland, and it was engaged in the same research, so we can a little bit see the difference between there. And from that research, we were doing quite good there, but we have not had much data on how the public think about tourism, and I think that's a really good thing to look into.
As you say, I think.
I also have to say, that Iceland is well managed, controlling how people get to their professions, that handle the case. People and they are really experienced myself, that they are really aware of the environment, sustainability, and how it's connected. And I really feel that the West region has done a great job regarding that.
I can tell you one example. We have 2 caves in the area of the Borgarfjörður area. We have the Surtsettlir, which is really large cave also, and then we have the Víkjarnir. The Surtsettlir has nothing to done to, and you can just go there by yourself. I think that's much more dangerous and also bad for the environment if you go there by yourself and you can take stuff from the cave and there's no infrastructure. I think the other cave, Víkjarnir, which is in the neighborhood, I think it's much better when you go with a guide. And they started with the longer tours and they just quit it right away because they saw they could not handle the people in the longer tour, so they just decided to cut that down. They're just walking on steps. You're not walking on the cave, and if everything goes bad, they can just take out all the stuff and the cave would look the same.
I also have one question regarding this. It's really local action towards tourism environment. My main question is what where does the funding come from? It's not making his answer to
10 kroner from the
and maybe not discussion, but it's really talking back into where we are at the matter. But I really the question is very important, right? Who is in charge of doing the research?
I'm going to answer that, and then I'm going to ask Anthony to comment on that. A lot of what we're going to say today, I'm going to be saying, well, we'll be looking at that tomorrow in the destination audit, because I think as part of the DMP, you should be looking at local attitudes and doing a survey, and that shouldn't cost a lot of money. I'm going to ask Anthony to make a comment on that from your experience in New Forest.
The big problem with research is that ultimately, if you're talking about a scale, and even the numbers at the moment in a relatively undeveloped Iceland are very big, it's very hard to get a clear answer from research, particularly on visitor attitude. I have a piece of research here, which is one of 80 destinations in England, my destination, with visitor attitudes. It's very high level, and I'm going to have to pay 10 kroner, or I have no kroner on me, because the cost is exorbitant. So I would say that research is something that would be best achieved nationally, so that you can each have your piece, because then you can compare with each other, and you can see the big picture, and you have a base level which is the same. And this is a big issue, which I'm sure you'll cover tomorrow. Going back to your question about local attitudes, the big problem with local attitudes, and we discussed this last night, is in Iceland, I think you have a much more positive attitude because people recognize the value of tourism, because there are not many other competing economic activities. And therefore, you will find, presumably, from what I hear, quite a positive attitude. But you'll also have the problem of people who are not engaged in tourism who hate it and will try and stop it. And then you have the conservationists, and maybe in Iceland you don't have many at the moment, but in England we have thousands of conservationists, and they are the biggest problem of all. Because whilst conserving the environment is really important, you also have to make the environment work for you. And creating a balance between the two is a very complicated task. And later on today, I will tell you a little bit about that. But my experience is local people either love tourism or they hate it. It's a very emotive subject because we are tribal and we don't like people from the other tribe.
I think to the other, coming to your question, who's, I'm going to say pay for it. The answer, there isn't an easy answer, but again, something that happens in different parts of the UK is local municipalities will do a resident survey every year or several times a year. I don't know if anybody does that in Iceland. Yeah, so that's one of these. So some areas will include attitudes towards tourism in that survey. So I think there are different ways to do it. One is to look at what's already happening. Can we, without much cost, feed a question into those things? On the other hand, a lot in Iceland, your areas and the number of people are not huge. And I'm hoping that people running the DMPs, the project managers, will have good contacts in the communities, and they might not do a robust survey of every single resident, but I would hope that on a sort of feels right basis, they'll be able to pick up the big issues. And I'm going to use a word again and again, which is quick and dirty. We're not talking about robust surveys of 20,000 people or 300,000 people. We're talking about quick and dirty, get a feeling for stuff, because I think very quickly you can get a sense of what the issues are. I can't get past the tourists on the road to cut my crops in the field because there's too many tourists. You can pick up those things. Now sometimes it does mean a physical solution. As we were talking about last night, you actually then maybe need to build a lay-by at the side of the road that tourists can get off to take a photograph so farmers can get past. In others, we've done this in Scotland, it's maybe a PR campaign to local people to say tourists aren't as bad as you think. They're actually keeping the restaurants open or they're keeping the shops open in the winter. So there are lots of issues like that that I think we don't want, as I kept saying last night, to develop the wrong solution to the right problem. So I think it's about analysing what are the problems, getting the information, and I think if we're thinking about big surveys, no. But I think we can very quickly get quick and dirty survey an idea.
Just one final thought, which I should have said earlier, but I wasn't thinking quick enough, is this structure you have here. If you have the bottom properly engaging with the community, then you will find out very quickly what local people think.
Yeah.
And going back to Tom's point, we spent in 1992 a huge amount of money, £40,000, which is hard for you to understand, but it's a very big amount of money on a very comprehensive survey. And that is useful as a base, but it's not particularly helpful on a practical day-to-day management because the numbers in themselves are only good. So we now just do volume and value. How much, how many people, how much money, how many jobs. And that is something, because it's the trend that you really want to see, not particularly the numbers.